Welcome to the Beauties Podcast, where we talk about everything you need to know about women's sports. From the grassroots to the pros, we got it all. Today on the show, we talk about the national women's soccer team's history-making deal and how it's affecting women's sports. Here are your hosts, Addie and Cowie.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 27 of Beauties Sports. Wow, we've got, like, if we were to sit here and reminisce on everything that we've been able to actually have conversations with people, I feel like we have had some of the coolest conversations, even if it's just in the first 27 episodes.
It's funny because I would actually have to, I know I remember a lot, but I think I would have to go back and think, because we think about it, 27 episodes, 27 hours of pod, that in minimum. Some of them go over, some of them go under. Yeah. It has been. It's an adventure, to say the least. It's wild to think 27 episodes is already here.
Yeah. It's cool. And we have a huge topic to talk about today because it was historic. Mm-hmm. Historic within women's soccer. But how was your day? How are you doing?
Oh, it's a Thursday today. So this is a weird recording time for us because the May long weekend... we need a break. I need a break personally. I got to move camper around. My day to day was full of rain. This province needs the tap to turn off so that we can get farmers in the fields, so that we can get out and enjoy some sunshine. That's right. But this being Thursday, by the time this hits the airwaves for people to hear it, you are 33 and almost 1 week old because your birthday was yesterday.
Oh my gosh!
Happy birthday to you! How was it?
It was awesome. I was like, when you have a birthday, when you have a little kid, you're more excited for how excited they are for you. Yeah. So Harry made me a little card and dressed up the whole kitchen and was pretty jacked about it and was telling everybody.
Did Tara bake
It's my mama's birthday. Tara did not.
Did she sing to you?
The whole fam got in on the song. Kimmy, Tara's mom, made me a beautiful cake. She always spoils me like crazy. Okay. So got a birthday dinner and a birthday cake, and Harry telling everybody on the block it was my birthday.
Amazing. There's nothing better than like mom food.
Oh, so good.
Okay, I was driving through the rain today and had to do a loop that wasn't really on the way. There's no chance that Cirrus is on the way home from Killarney. But I added the extra kilometers just to eat lunch with my mom and dad.
Yeah, bingo.
And eat her banana bread for dessert after lunch. It's worth it.
It's not even a question. Nope. When mama's banana bread in there, no question.
I know. Sandy, she's a good cook.
That's amazing. So yeah, it's cool. It's super fun to have little kids around when it's your birthday.
No kidding.
Super fun. So as we move into, because I think... this episode, like we just had Bailey Dirksen on the show, and that was such a cool, just conversation with an athlete so young in her career and so driven and so excited about the future. Mm-hmm. And then you literally open up your app or however anybody found this news to the USA women's soccer team finally getting equal pay to their men's program.
Yeah, and I love that we're at a point now with Beauties that I got it like 7 times in my inbox.
Oh, yeah.
As that news floated across the internet, because people know, A, we give a crap, and B, we want to talk about it. It seems so long overdue. We've talked about the fight that they had for equal pay. And you got to give, tip your hat, I think, a little bit to the U.S. Soccer Federation, and kind of setting the standard or the stage for hopefully what we see is a domino effect across the board, because that shift certainly doesn't happen from FIFA specifically, but U.S. Soccer making the change to make sure that it's equal across the board.
And when you look at it from the perspective of, okay, like, How do you not see the momentum in women's soccer? We're getting, like, Chelsea just wins back-to-back titles. Mm-hmm. Like 91,000 people consistently at those matches overseas. Then you get a record-breaking crowd for Angel City. Yep. A massive ownership group in Angel City. there's so much commitment back into women's sports or like soccer specifically. It's like, how could you not, like, it seems like it took way longer than it should have, you know?
Yeah. And we're seeing, you know, it's one of the sports too, where realistically the pay, if there was going to be a pay gap, when you look at soccer and the U.S. women's national team or the Canadian women's national soccer team, it should be in the reverse. Mm-hmm. The U.S. women's team and the Canadian women's team are the ones who have actually historically in the last chunk of time, from a pure finish, how they finish at tournaments, have represented their country better than the men's side. And that's just wasn't the case. So it's just so counterintuitive, and it's archaic to think that it took till 2022, but we're here.
We're here. We made it. And like, all we can do is like, how do you thank women that have essentially battled in court, in all these different scenarios? How do you thank these women for the battle other than legitimately supporting in every possible way that we can and showcasing the talent that they have coming up, like, and just being a part of the whole thing, full on diving into it?
Yeah, because the interesting thing is that a lot of the women or the key stakeholders that were in the media that we saw, the Alex Morgans, the Megan Rapinos, are not likely, or I shouldn't say not likely, are likely to benefit less. They may not benefit from that change.
Yeah.
Depending on what we see for rosters going into the 2023 World Cup.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, we've said that before on the show, is that's the cool thing about watching the PWHPA and the women battle in there, or the equity and equal pay battle that the U.S. women's national soccer team started, is it's not about them. Mm-hmm. It is about having a stage for the next generation to dream of and try to achieve. That's the coolest part to me. Oh, not about you.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. And when we had Liz Knox on the show, that was her message. Yeah. Like, that was 1,000% her message, is we started this whole thing so that then the girls looking up to us never have to go what we went through. Mm-hmm. And I find that is a very consistent message from essentially every single league. Like, if you look at the WNBA, there was women being drafted into the WNBA that already had sponsorship deals, that already had their own custom clothing lines. Mm-hmm. Like, they saw what was there for them, and they now can look and be like, no, this is what we're worth. This is what we're getting after. And the audience is so big that they can actually pursue those things, like the Diana Taurasi's and the Sue Birds and all these women that have literally, like Sylvia Fowles, who's retiring this year, like, put the league on their back and said, no more. Yep. And now we've got Paige Beckers, who is just slaying, you know.
Paige, Jazzy Fudd, like,
Boston,
the list goes on.
It goes, because of the sacrifice that those women made in the beginning. It's crazy.
And then it's really fun to me to see the ripple effect from professional all the way down to the grassroots of it. You look around, even in this province, you look around and see, you tell me that what Amy Dirkson's trying to do in Brandon isn't inspiring.
Right?
You look around and see people that we've had on the show. Carly Colpitz is doing great things in soccer. Bree's doing stuff in golf. You and I had a weekend in Charleston with a bunch of 12 and 13-year-olds having a blast. Yeah. And the whole purpose, if you grew up, which we all did, if you spent time in sports and you are a woman, you grew up in equality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everyone who's still in it, same thing.
Yeah.
Making sure that pant shells don't get passed from the boys' team to the girls' team.
Yeah. There's this extra sense of, like, protection almost. Like, no, we've seen it. Yeah, no more. No thanks.
Sick of it.
No thanks.
And when you see it from the top, and that's the part I think that hopefully those girls understand, or women understand, who have, like, fought those court battles for the millions of dollars that they deserve, is that the ripple effect of that is an empowered generation.
Oh, you You can't, that's what I mean. You can't even put into words.
No, you can't.
And they were just sitting there being like, it's not right.
Yeah.
This is not right.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can't even put it into words. And I believe that this is going to be the same with the PWHPA and all these different organizations that are doing this. There's no words. Mm-hmm. There is no words. No. So huge day.
Huge day. I will see. I'm very interested to see what we see from FIFA now
in response.
Yeah, because so the inequality from the FIFA side is astronomical. Mm-hmm. The men's side of FIFA had, I think when I read that article, it was $440 million on the men's side and $60 million that were available on the women's side. And so what the U.S. Soccer Federation has decided to do is essentially pool the money available from the men's and women's side together, take a slice off the top, let's call it an administrative fee.
Right.
Take a slice off the top and then cut the pie in half.
Yeah.
But they're making that choice. It's still not equitable from FIFA.
Yeah. And you're right. The ripple effect of when people finally step up and make a stance and make change is interesting. Mm-hmm. Like it truly is interesting, because you think about like 440 million, right? Like you just mentioned. What? Mm-hmm. Like what?
Yeah. Versus 60. And 60 was bumped up. You have to read that article again. Fact check me. But it was like an alarming gap.
Yeah.
Alarming gap.
She was a big margin.
Like to the point where 440 million and 60 million stuck in my head. So
yeah.
Like, wow, that is extreme.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you look at, it doesn't matter where we look. You look at hockey. Grant Mentis signing an $80K a year contract, and we're talking $12 million contracts in the NHL. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
No matter where you look. But it's even more alarming when it's the same governing body,
right,
not splitting the pie in half.
Yeah, because that'll be like with what the PWHPA and the PHF are deciding to do, which are two completely different avenues. It'll be interesting to see where the flow of all these different women go, because there's obviously a league coming forth, mm-hmm. and they have their pay that's, within that 4-month span. And then the pay for Grant Mentis, which is over a 9-month span, 8-9 months. Mm-hmm. The flow of it, and also the pressure that they are putting on all the other leagues, I think, is the most important part. Like, are you going to step up?
Yep.
Canada Soccer, are we going to step up? All these other places, it's massive. And like you're saying, I had that image of, the announcement sent to me by probably 15 different people.
Yeah.
Saying, let's go, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
People want
so
it.
Cool.
People are ready for it,
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see.
440 million.
I know, now you're thinking.
I'm just thinking of the context of it.
Yeah, because even when the thing that's interesting for me in this is, like, it's been like we're hearing big paydays from individual athletes, LPGA, WTA. Yeah. They're making some D's coin over there, right?
Yeah,
because they take care of themselves. They don't have to take care of a team. Mm-hmm. So when we're looking from a team perspective, mm-hmm. like, I think that this is like, there's somebody that was like, like Nelly Corda's making some coin, Naomi Osaka, and it's like, it's such a different world that they live in that it's like, this is huge, because there's been $1 million contracts signed in individual sports, but not like this in team sports.
And it's still, we've talked about that on other episodes, the money that is being made in individual athletes like Naomi Osaka or Serena Williams or remember that list we went through? Mm-hmm. It was like a fraction of the money they make is from their sport.
Right.
The majority, like I'm talking 90% of the money that they make is that brand and reputation of who they are.
Yeah.
Not
Personal brand.
Yes, not sports specific.
Yeah. Super interesting.
So you wonder when we start to see hockey take off in that same way that we've seen NCAA basketball, WNBA, like these, personal brand sponsorship thing. When do we start to see that take off?
Yeah.
Like we there, trust me, there's the list. We know them all, right? You see the same people on the same commercials, and it's that very, very elite class.
Oh, for sure. Like Sarah Nurse killed it this year.
Yeah.
Every time I turn on the TV, I'm like, hey, Sarah. Hey, Sarah. She slayed this year. Good for her. Like, I loved it. But you're right. Like the Hillary Knights, Mary Fliplands, Kendall Coyne wrote a book. Like
Nat Spooner.
Natty Spooner. All these key mark people that have been in the spotlight for so long. It'll be,
when do we see the trickle effect?
Yeah, totally. And we are seeing it like in basketball a lot more. Like, and to be honest, from what I'm seeing within basketball too, is it's the younger generation that's really stepping up for their own personal brands. Like the OGs, like you really only see like, Brianna Stewart, who's like kind of in the middle, right? She's just brand new into the WNBA, a couple of years. But really other than that, like Sue has a sweet rep. Did you see what happened with Sue playing Sue Bird? I'm just talking like we're besties. I'm like, yeah, no, you talked to Sue?
Yeah, did you get that same text message I got?
It was like there was somebody who flew in from like Korea to watch her play or something.
Yeah, I saw the sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, I flew here from wherever, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it gives us less excuse as to why we still haven't just gone on a plane.
Totally. But he's skedaddling from Korea
across the world to see her. We're just not. We don't have an excuse list anymore.
Totally.
Oh my God. I did see that. Did you also see her? Oh man, her and Diana Taurasi, I just absolutely adore their relationship.
Such beauties.
Did you see them fighting over the ball, and then they caught their audio? It was like, no, I had the ball. No, I had the ball. It's like, ladies.
I love it. Best friends, competitive as shit. Don't care, still want to win.
I know. And it's like, that whole competitive thing, we talk about it all the time. I have to throw in story time. So last week we talked a lot with Bailey about competitive, right? And she at such a young age is super critical of herself in a way of how competitive she was. 2 things to my story time. We got a message from Bailey's mom. Basically saying thank you for letting her talk about competing.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why Bailey is competitive.
Yeah.
Is because mom and dad, family and friends all recognize that is a exceptional quality in Bailey Dirksen, and let's like fuel the fire and let it take off.
Let's go.
So that was super cool for one. Number 2, we've talked about my Uncle Garth a lot ish on the show, but a lot in real life. Yeah. So my uncle is a faithful fan of the show. He texts me every episode, and from last week's episode talking about competitiveness, my text message I got on it this week was, we knew you were competitive when you were playing Red Rover in the backyard. And I was like, oh, tell me more. And he's like, yeah, you ran straight between your Aunt Barb and your mom, and they clotheslined you. So picture 6-year-old Cowie running across the yard at her mom and aunt, who you'd think would, if it was my 7-year-old niece, I'd probably let go of their hands, but no, not them. So
not in this house.
Yeah, not the reason that I'm competitive, I'm going to say, is because I grew up with competitive women who are willing to clothesline a 6-year-old. So thanks, Mom.
I love it. What are you in, grade 1?
Yeah, it was grade 1.
Grade 1 or
just don't picture me too, like hammer down. I can bust through this. I probably jumped. I'm picturing myself jumping and just absolutely getting smacked back on the ground, looking up at my aunt and my mom, like, what just happened here? Let's do it again. I can do it. Let's do it again.
Line up, ladies. Here we go.
Oh my God.
I think that we need to talk about that way more, because honestly, being competitive to me is fun.
It is.
It's fun.
It's super fun. It is super, super fun. And I can give you like times throughout the day throughout the day.
For sure.
In my work life even, where it's competitive. It's like a daily thing for me. How fast can I get out the door in the morning? How fast, like all of those things. So I can have a 3-minute shower. It's like, we don't need to. Watch me. Oh my God.
I'll prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Wasn't asking you to.
Prove
but
myself wrong. That 5-minute shower is way too long.
But then you think about plays like that where it's just like, it doesn't matter. You want to win. Like, and I think that's and this goes back to the old saying of like, when guys compete, they compete on the ice and then you can have a beer at the end of the day. It's like, well, why is it different for women? Why is it different for girls? Where we're like staring each other down in the hotel lobby? Like, why aren't we just friends? Why aren't we just? But it's that teaching respectful competitiveness and that it's okay to want to compete at a young age.
Yeah, it's okay to have a fire in your belly.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's a funny story. Good old Red Rover.
Oh man.
But then you like put it in the context of LPGA when you are like on the 18th green and you just lost and you got to look over and
Shake
be like,
hand.
You won this time.
Yep. Shake the hand.
You know, it's I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation, especially when we're talking about it with young female athletes.
Me too. And that, you know, it's cool to see it in their little eyes change, right? When you promote that, like, get swaggy, girls.
Yeah, let's go.
Get a little confidence. There's that line of confidence and cocky, but walk it.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
You know,
live it.
Compete. Let's go. Yeah. So fun.
Own it. If you're gonna go full tilt, own it. If
Own
it goes good, great. If it doesn't, own it. We move on.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So fun.
And I am also, like, clearly I've talked about it numerous times. I'm a big Chicago Sky fan.
No, yeah, are you?
Yeah. No, I've watched a couple games.
Never heard.
Yep. Chicago Sky. Yep. Courtney Vandersloot. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Courtney.
Oh, her.
Sue and Courtney.
Yeah. Got it.
BFS. But that's honestly one of the reasons why I appreciate that organization so much is they're down. They get down last night. Yeah. And I'm watching them play and I'm like, they're not out. They're not out. Yeah. They're going to compete till the very last second. And lo and behold, 1 minute left. They come back and they were down by 12 in the fourth. And they come back and it's literally, if they drain a 3, it's a tie game. Like that cannot be taught other than just witnessing it and feeling it. And honestly, every time I watch the Sky, I just feel the same way about them.
I know. It's a love story.
It is. It's a love story.
I can't wait for me to create the sign that you're going to hold when we're courtside at a Sky game.
Oh.
It's just going to be all the hearts.
Honestly. I'll let you create it and I will own whatever it is.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I can't wait to post that on Instagram. We'll
have like we'll invite everybody to come.
You're signing up for some fun.
Yeah. But honestly, it just is. It's the best.
Yeah, they were, and that game last night, like you were talking about earlier, there was some competitive nature built into that just by who was playing.
Oh yeah,
big blocks.
Yeah, Gabby Williams, and that's another huge piece of it too, where the Sky organization decided that Williams, they would not renew her contract, and then she ends up on the Storm, huge team, and goes out there and is like, I'm gonna make you regret your decision. I'm gonna end, like you just said, huge block.
Oh my God, the announcers are losing their
and
marbles.
I was like average on it because it was against Vandersloot, but it's like I was like, yeah, okay, I guess that's fine. It was like a highlight reel block.
God, I was average on it.
I was pretty average on it.
Not my girl.
It was actually phenomenal. It was so beautiful.
Average.
Yeah, but it just goes to show that when you have a competitive edge and when you're taught about being competitive at a young age, it follows you through your whole life. Like what is that stat about women in CEOs.
94% of C-suite execs who are women spent time in sports.
Like,
yeah,
how do you dispute that?
That's right. It kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that how scary it is of how the rate in which girls are dropping out of sports in comparison to boys, and how we need to make sure that we focus on the right things with girls. It needs to be fun. They need to be encouraged to compete, but it's got to be spoken about in the right way. And it's a bigger story than just play the sport today. It's setting you up with the tools. We talk about that in our dressing room.
Yeah.
It's setting you up with the tools. If you master this now at 12 or 9 or 14, or not master it, but start to understand the value of those things, it's so much bigger than sports.
It is so so I actually spoke at a conference in this. They asked me to speak and say, just talk about why girls drop out of sports. And I think a lot of people were expecting me to pull up a bunch of spreadsheets and data and be like, beep, boop, boop. And that's just not my personality. And I got up there and I said, we need to start talking to them as if they're never leaving.
Yes.
And then people kind of looked at me like this. I was like, I'm a grown woman and I still experience people talking to me as if I'm a volunteer. And I'm a Hockey Canada certified skills coach, HP1 certified coach. They still talk to me as if I'm a volunteer. We need to talk to girls like they are meant to be there.
Yeah.
And it is such a big conversation, and I'll do my little story time. So mine's clearly not as funny as yours. But
that's a pretty funny start.
Oh, that's a pretty funny start, I guess. I was on the ice and my coach was being interviewed, and the interviewer asked him way long time ago, but would you ever consider going back to boys hockey? And his response was, the big leagues? I don't know if I'll make it to the big leagues again. And that's the point. It makes you go, what the?
Yeah. Yeah.
Never in a million years did he mean to mean it like that. But what does that say without saying it? And that was my message, is the comments, throw like a girl, the comments, all those different, cliche things that we've said growing up, those don't leave you. Those don't leave. So even when I'm, older and can understand the context of what's happening, I still vividly remember that story. Because I'm like, oh, well, what am I?
Yeah.
And that's the part of where, when we talk about the competitive piece of it, when we talk about bringing on these young athletes to showcase where they are, where they're going, what's happening. Even when we had Caitlin Laws on, and she was like, I was a very competitive kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a common theme
across it all.
Across it all.
Yeah.
And it's like, we need to start talking to girls as if they're meant to be here, but not only just meant to be here, but they can stay as long as they want.
Totally. Yeah, sports is a lifestyle, really. It is a part of your life. However you're engaged in that, whether you become a washed up beer leaguer like me and know how to drink beer better than play hockey, but you still do it. It needs to just become common grain. There are positives. I was down here studying last night. And Ash was upstairs running a coaching clinic. It was a female coach clinic, and 27 women signed up for the clinic.
Right on.
I'm like, that's cool. That's positive.
That's a big number.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
For this province, it's a really big number.
Yeah, totally.
Finally.
Yeah, totally.
Finally. But part of that too is, I think I was thinking about, as we kind of debriefed, in your headspace of our weekend in South Carolina, words that I could change even. That's one thing I think
totally.
you and I do that pretty well, of being, retrospective after the game. What would we do different? What could we do different? But one thing that I think is really hard for me is some of the verbiage that you were taught. So things like we like a box in one, but all like saying it as a man on box behind.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, none of us are men.
Yeah. No, for sure.
But that's
For
how you
sure.
taught it. That's
Yeah.
how the people talk to you. So then you just spit it back out.
Yeah.
And I never thought of it as anything. And it's like, oh, Cowie, change your words.
I know. It's
Strange.
when you sit back and you listen to a lot of things, you're like, oh, okay.
How we talk about people as a stud. Oh, she's a stud. It's like, is that the right word?
Yeah. Is that
the right word?
Is that the right word? I don't know. Yeah, it's truly, there is a big shift in not only sport, but in culture right now.
Totally.
There's
Totally.
a huge shift, and it's important that we don't forget about that shift within young female girls. Mm-hmm. For sure. Because we get on here every week and we talk about the pros, and because that's fun. And we think a lot of people are enjoying it and learning about it and learning truly about what is out there and available for their daughters, which is great. But we cannot forget about how this integrates back into youth athletics.
Yeah. And I think you're right. It is just being conscious of it. Like, at least we think about it.
Yeah. we most certainly, we think about it a lot.
Too much.
Yeah. We think about it a lot.
Too much. But it burns a little hole in my soul, because I think that, when you hold yourself to a standard, that's the one thing that I was like, oh God, I could change that word. Mm-hmm. But as you slowly start to eliminate those things from your vocabulary, they actually do eliminate. They're gone. Once you work on it enough, it goes away.
Yeah.
And the people around you notice, and the kids around you notice, and they hear different words. And yeah.
I think we should do a whole series on terminology, because I think it would be super valuable.
That would be really, really valuable.
Yeah. I wonder, we should do that. We should, you know what? We never do this.
Okay.
We never, ever, ever do this. We should ask our audience. What do you want to hear? What do you want to learn? What do you want to know more about women's sports and coaching, or from a parent perspective, or if your niece, anybody, any question, we should just open it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you listening, engage with Addie and I on Instagram. It's either at Beauties Sports Talk, or personally at Addie Miles Abbott or Cowie14. I think that's a cool idea. I think if you have any thought at all, comment, question, suggestion, terminology, things that you think need to change, stuff you've saw or seen through sports that has bothered you. If you have a story that you were willing for us to share on the show, that would be a really cool idea. Yeah, engage with us.
And like anything, like any of the content we've gone over, or, that would be, I think, a really cool starting point for us, because honestly, we talk about it all the time, but why not bring in our listeners to be like, let's talk about it together? Why not? We need that trickle effect to start happening more, and there may be perspectives that we're not thinking about.
No, for sure there
right?
are. Yeah.
Right?
For
So
sure
it's like, let's do this. So, and we have SpeakPipe too.
Yep. Speakpipe.com/beautysports is a voicemail service. So if you have a phone, which I know you do, it's basically like recording a voice memo on your phone, and it comes to Addie and I's Gmail, the Beauty Sports Gmail, and from there we can throw her into the old Roadcaster, which you guys, if you watch this on YouTube, you would see it's the big black box that sits in front of us that records our voices every week. We can throw it on there, press a button, and hear your voice on the show.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So let's chat, Beauties community. Let's talk about literally anything and everything you want to, and let's be a part. There's so many women that literally are working behind the scenes to grow it. Let's do our part, and let's talk about it, and let's figure out how we all work together to keep the momentum train moving on this bad boy.
Exactly. Because I do think, just let's tease the upcoming episodes. So we talked about squash a few episodes ago. Oh. I'm still so jacked, but I was jacked. I was like a little, maybe like too jacked. I was so into it. It was phenomenal to watch. And now I'm hooked. And now I follow, like, it feels like every other post that comes across my Instagram is squash.
Right?
But in some upcoming episodes, we do have some squash folks coming on the show. Holly Naughton, which we talked about in that episode where I was raving about squash, is going to join us. And then we are going to have a person come and join us from Squash Canada. So there's exciting things coming, but I do think that we want suggestions from you guys. I love that idea, Addie. That's so good.
Yeah, suggestions. And
who do you want to hear from?
Who do you want to hear from? And when we, like, I do find it funny, you went like squash wild. And for the people listening, like wild.
Oh,
and,
God, I was raving.
And it's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah. They're in Egypt right now. They've got this cool, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But if there's another kind of off the beaten path sport that we could
that doesn't get enough love,
that we just want to give love to, just let us know what you think.
Totally cool.
That's awesome. You went full tilty. I love it though. They felt the love, and that's what we need. That's what we need. So today's episode was, honestly, I felt kind of like a little bit of a heart-to-heart situation, like just chatting it out.
Hanging out.
Because honestly, sometimes we just need that.
I know. We should, I like these episodes every once in a while. The story times, the get-to-knows. I feel like, oh man, another Instagram piece. We're going to ask the audience for some questions. What do you want to know about Addie and I?
Oh, wow.
Like, what if it isn't sports related? Maybe they're like, Cowie, let's see your hair. Not here.
No way, Jose. But yeah, true. Let's open the floor. Let's open the floor. So, this was, I think we both walked into this episode feeling so attached to the message of that equality and the fight behind it that we felt like we just wanted to talk about it. Yeah. Hang out and talk about it, because as much as everybody looks at a post and sees how monumental that is, it was literally a group of women that have just sacrificed almost a decade of their lives fighting for our young soccer community. So huge day. It's been fantastic. So Cowie, final words.
Final words. When this hits your earwaves, you have hopefully enjoyed your May long weekend. Thank you all for coming back. This is episode 27. Feels like episode 5. It's flown by so fast. We appreciate you. Like we mentioned earlier, if you haven't already, make sure you go and find us on Instagram and Twitter and on TikTok. Instagram and TikTok is Beauty Sports Talk. Twitter is _Beauty Sports. You can find that speakpipe.com/Beauty Sports, that voicemail service. Connect with us on YouTube. Find Addie at Addie Miles Abbott and me at Cowie14. We appreciate you all for coming back, and thank you, Addie. It's been a slice.
Thank you all, and we will see you next week.